Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this.
All of today left to go with the snowfall. So let me tell you where we are. I've got a couple of numbers for you. At Denver International, 11.1. That is a new total that just came in from the National Weather Service. They shared that on Twitter this morning. So 11.1 there. Again, remember, we're about halfway through, so we could very likely double that. And then in town, it's much less. I mean, totals, I measured about 2 inches, maybe 2.5, where I am right here, downtown Denver. The Art Museum is right next to me. And so that's what we're seeing in town, mostly about 2 inches. Arvada coming in at 2.7, Edgewater coming in at 2. Another observation 2 miles east of downtown Denver, 3.9. But that's sort of the order of magnitude. So it's all about the banding. And, you know, if you watch the Weather Channel, any snowstorm anywhere, that's how it always works, is that wherever those snow bands and that convergence set up where the winds all come together and make that air rise, you do get into some heavier amounts of snow. One thing I want to say about our snow here is we never really got into that true east wind. So we've had the wind from the north, the northeast, the northwest for a while, actually, all over the place here. But that true east wind is what would give downtown Denver really the best chance of getting into that bigger snow. You go north of town, that's where the biggest numbers are. Wellington, 14 inches. There are 10-inch diameter trees that are snapped there with the weight of that very heavy, wet snow. And I can tell you that yesterday's snow, and I spent all day yesterday walking around in it. It was very wet. I was a tripping mess when I came back in. Today's snow does seem a little bit drier. It's still a wet packing snow for sure, but it's a slightly different consistency, and that may allow it to just stack up a little bit more than we did yesterday. All right, let's go back out to Boulder and check in with Jim Cantori this morning. And Jim, I mean, just watching this play out, watch the roads wet all day, all day. As soon as that sun set, everything became snow covered.
Yes. It really did, Jay.
Trying to get there, dealing with treacherous travel on the roads and getting to the airport and finding out that your flight is canceled now. Or, well, actually, this could be worse if you get on your flight and then you're dealing with turbulence, because we are getting some turbulent reports here across the upper Midwest. And then you can see even some turbulence reports as we look through the Northeast. Some people really, really hate that. Weird thing. I actually like it. I don't mind the turbulence, but I know a lot of people would not want to be flying in today. So here's what's going on. You can see our upslope flow that we have ongoing that Jim was referring to. Look, we've even got some thunder snow going on here in the very western portions of Nebraska. You can see that snow continuing across southeastern portions of Wyoming. We are expecting high airport impacts today, as we've just talked about. Denver up through Rapid City, Cheyenne, you guys are getting in on that as well. And in terms of travel on the roads, well, at times it's going to be impossible across portions of southern Wyoming and Nebraska there along that I-80 corridor. Of course, some of the mountain passes here, I-70, as you go up in elevation. Some of those smaller, untreated roads are really going to be impassable as we continue to see this kind of building up. Heavy snow at times, especially as we head through this early part of the day. Cheyenne to Rawlins is going to be a mess. Blizzard conditions for portions of southeastern Wyoming, and what that means, I checked it a little bit earlier. Cheyenne was down to just a quarter of a mile of visibility and 40-mile-per-hour gusts. That is blinding snow. That's whiteout conditions. So, Paul, definitely dangerous to be out there traveling.
Yeah, and it's not just going to stay warm because, you know, it kind of started out with some rain and some light snow, but this is the beginning of perhaps maybe a record-setting snow event for the Mile High City.
Yeah. You know what, Paul, I was just looking up the stats to see where we are in Denver, because we don't get a foot of snow very often. So 11.1 at the airport now. And so that puts us as our biggest storm in the last 5 years so far. You go back to 2016, we had 13.1 at the airport. Out of that, much more when you went even in town, but certainly up in the foothills. We had even bigger events from that 2016 snowstorm. But so, and look, we're only halfway in. So that's what the story is here in Denver. This has been a tough, I know, excruciatingly hard, slow snowstorm here. We were talking about it for days ahead of time. It took all day yesterday to really get going and start sticking, but now you see the scene. So I am down here right by the Art Museum. The visibility, as you can see, is really reduced. You cannot see the buildings out beyond that because of the low visibility. The snow has picked up. Whenever we see a visibility drop, we know the snow has picked up, and that's going to mean higher intensity and higher rates of accumulation. And I got to show you the kind of snow that we're dealing with here. So it's very wet. I mean, look at this here. I can almost squeeze the moisture out of it. Let me get closer. You can see it's almost kind of icy. It's like a slush. But a lot of this is from what fell yesterday. And I think today's snow is going to end up being a drier snow than what we had. This is a ball of ice right here. I mean, this is just so wet. not great, certainly, for skiing, but it certainly is fantastic for making a snowman. So you guys will have some time to do that. I want to run through some of the updates, too, from a travel perspective. Between the last 2 days, we have almost 2,000 flights canceled at DIA. It's about 86% out today, about 79% in are canceled. So today, obviously not a good travel day. I checked for tomorrow, though, very limited, if any cancellations, not many at all. So hopefully that's good news for tomorrow. And then when it comes to road travel, we've got parts of I-25 going north. I mean, up towards Fort Collins and Wellington, that's where we have some of the bigger numbers of snowfall, more than a foot of snow up that way. Campion, about 13.5. Then you jump up towards Cheyenne at Warren Air Force Base. They're reporting about 9. And so I-25, I-80 up there are going to be impacted. I-70 out from Lyman to Burlington, out in the high plains, Paul, is also, there's a closure there. So you really got to check ahead if you have to travel today, and that is still the advice. I know it's been slow this weekend. People are certainly are getting antsy about getting out, but we're only halfway into this, so be patient.
Yeah, this is definitely, as a runner, Jen, you know, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint here, so we're kind of halfway through. And then we still have the backstretch to get through. Thanks. It's Jen Carfagno live in.
Old record set back in 1973 for today is 85, and you could tie that. We're encroaching on some records. I think Montgomery, you guys have a chance of getting to that record, but it's going to be very close. So here are the highs across the southeast, above average, so not just a bit above average, but like I said, some places it's going to be record. 80 in Jackson today, and we stay warm tomorrow as well. Much of the same pattern that's lending to the warmth that we had yesterday and today is going to stick around. 84 in Houston, a bit humid, as well as you've got that flow coming off of the Gulf. Memphis, you guys are going to be in the mid-70s tomorrow. So we're finally seeing some of that warmth sticking around for a little while. And then upper 70s in Jackson on Tuesday, but you'll notice we get some cooling for places like Atlanta and Raleigh. You guys are going to have some cooler temperatures by Wednesday. I want you to look at what's happening. Look at the corner up here. That cold air is trying to make its way down. So Wednesday, we're still warm. We have a nice string of warmth, but we are going to have that cool down coming eventually. So if you like the warmer air, like I know I do, Dr. Postal, I know you like it too, you might want to soak it up, because March is a time where you never know how long it's going to. About the Vegas area, there is some great hiking if you just get outside of the Strip. So let's talk about it. Here's our current system. It has not been moving very quickly because it doesn't have anything really driving it. But this next system is going to be embedded within the jet stream, so it is going to move on quicker. It's not going to hang around quite as long as Xylia has. Now, through this afternoon into Monday, we do start to see those winter alerts popping up across Northern California, down through the Sierras as well. This is what we're seeing. The moisture moving in throughout the day today, all along the Pacific Northwest, there down into the Bay Area as well. Of course, higher elevation snow coming, and that is going to spread across Nevada and into the Four Corners region. We need any sort of precipitation we can get in that area because the drought is still so terrible. In terms of totals, some places in the higher elevations could see up to a foot of snow. That is what we need to have going on in the mountains as we head into the drier months. More on this coming up. And that's what we're going to be seeing. Now, I will say this up that we've been having across the southeast, it's been sticking around for a little while. We've been stuck in the same pattern, very slow shifting pattern that we're seeing. Temperatures right now, 70 in New Orleans and Tampa. Miami, you guys are sitting at 75, lower 60s in Raleigh and Atlanta. It is feeling nice out there if you've been waiting for this springtime warmth. Now, in terms of records today, we are going to approach a lot of records, like Atlanta, headed for 80 degrees, the old record 82. So maybe not quite breaking it, but we'll be really close. But in Macon, the forecast 85, the old record 85. So you guys could have a new record, or at least a tied record today. This is what we're expecting in terms of those temperatures. Here's the thing. You can see that southerly flow coming off the Gulf of Mexico. So it's not just 80 in Jackson or 79 in New Orleans. It's 80 with some humidity. You've got that flow coming off the Gulf of Mexico. So you've got that warm, moist air in place. Memphis tomorrow, mid-70s for you. 80 in Dallas, Montgomery, lower 80s for you tomorrow as well. As we head into Tuesday, the warmth is sticking around. You can see 80s all along the coast here from Houston. Follow that I-10 corridor to Tallahassee in the lower 80s as well. And Wednesday, still a ton of warm, moist air in place. While I love it, Dr. Postel, part of the problem with that warmth and moisture is it's going to add to the instability.